To afford a $500,000 house in Canada right now, you need to earn roughly $115,000 a year. The median Canadian household brings in about $85,000. Do that math. More than half the country cannot afford what we used to call a starter home. So who is actually buying these places? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you will know exactly who can afford a $500K house and exactly what it would take for you to become one of them. First, let's get honest about what $500,000 even buys, because it is not the same house in every province. In Toronto or Vancouver, that money gets you a one-bedroom condo, maybe 600 square feet, with condo fees stacked on top. In Calgary or Edmonton, the same money still buys a detached family home with a garage and a yard. In Halifax, a solid 3-bedroom in a decent neighborhood. And in Winnipeg, Regina, or much of Atlantic Canada, $500K can make you the nicest house on the block. So remember, in half this country, we are talking about a normal family home. In the big cities, it is the consolation prize. But the sticker price is not even the hard part. The hard part is the wall of cash you need before the bank even talks to you. And by the way, it is wild that $500K is even the number we are debating. A decade ago, the average Canadian home sold for around $450,000, and $500K was considered a serious move-up. Today, the national average sits closer to $700,000, and in Ontario and BC, the average blew past $800,000 at the peak. So $500,000 quietly went from above average to below average in about 10 years. Meanwhile, incomes did not double. Wages crawled up maybe 30% over the same stretch while prices ran away. That gap, prices sprinting while paycheck is walk, is the entire story of Canadian housing in one sentence. It is why your parents could buy a detached house on one salary, and why you are watching a video about qualifying for a condo. Keep that gap in mind, because every number coming up flows straight out of it. Here's the real cost of entry. Option 1, the minimum down payment. On $500,000, that is 5%, so $25,000. Sounds doable, right? Except now you are forced to buy mortgage insurance, which quietly adds roughly $19,000 onto your loan. Option 2, put down 20%, $100,000 in cash, and skip the insurance completely. And either way, you still need closing costs on top. Land transfer tax, lawyer, inspection, moving. Budget another $10,000 to $15,000. So the true ticket into a $500K house is somewhere between $40,000 and $115,000 sitting in your account before you get a single key. And once you're in, the monthly bill is where most people break. Let's run the monthly numbers on the average setup. 5% down leaves a mortgage around $494,000 once the insurance is rolled in. At today's typical 5-year rates, that is roughly $2,800 a month. Now stack the rest. Property tax, about $400 a month. Home insurance, $150. Utilities and maintenance, easily $400 more. Real total, about $3,750 a month, every month, for 25 years. Banks want your housing costs under about a third of your gross income. Divide it out, and that is how you land on needing around $115,000 a year. But even earning that much is not enough, because the bank tests you on numbers that are worse than reality. It is called the stress test, and it is the silent deal breaker. When you apply, the bank does not qualify you at your actual rate. They qualify you at your rate plus 2 full percentage points. So even if your real payment is $2,800, you have to prove you could survive a payment closer to $3,400. That single rule knocks tens of thousands of would-be buyers out of the market every year. People with good jobs, good credit, real savings told no because of a hypothetical. So with all these walls, who is actually getting approved? The answer explains almost everything about the housing market. But before we meet the winners, one warning, because qualifying is not the same as affording. There's a name for people who squeeze through approval with nothing to spare. House poor. They own the house and the house owns them. Picture a couple pulling in exactly $115,000, paying $3,750 a month on housing, 1 car repair, 1 parental leave, 1 rate renewal at a higher number, and the whole budget snaps. And renewals are not hypothetical in Canada. Most mortgages here reset every 5 years, so the payment you sign today is really just the opening bid. The families you see selling 2 years after buying, most of them qualified just fine. They simply had zero cushion. So whatever the bank approves you for, the Quiet Pro move is to spend less than that, ideally 10 to 15% under your ceiling, and keep 6 months of payments in cash. The bank tests you on paper, life tests you for real. Profile 1, the double income couple. 2 people earning $60,000 each clears the bar together, $120,000 combined. This is the single biggest group. The starter home is now a 2-income purchase. Solo buyers are mostly locked out unless they earn 6 figures alone. Profile 2, the skilled trades. Electricians, plumbers, crane operators, many clear $90,000 plus with overtime, no student debt, and they started earning at 20, not 25. Profile 3, the equity mover. Someone sells a shoebox condo in Toronto or Vancouver, takes $300K in equity to Alberta or the Maritimes, and buys the $500K house with cash to spare. Whole neighborhoods in Calgary and Halifax are filling up exactly this way. And Profile 4, the one nobody likes to admit, the bank of mom and dad. Surveys estimate roughly 1 in 3 first-time buyers now gets family money, and the average gift is in the 6 figures in the big provinces. That is not a loophole anymore. It is a pillar of the market. So the real answer to who can afford this house is 2 paychecks, a trade ticket, an equity head start, or a family check. Quick favor, if this is making the housing market finally make sense, hit subscribe, because I break down Canadian money like this twice a week. Now the part that actually matters how you get on the right side of that list. 1. Run your real number first, take your gross household income, multiply by 0.32, that is your monthly housing ceiling in the bank's eyes. If you're at $90,000, your ceiling is $2,400 a month, which finances roughly a $400K purchase, not $500. Knowing your number stops you shopping in the wrong aisle. 2. Use the FHSA, the First Home Savings Account. You and a partner can each put in $8,000 a year, $40,000 lifetime, and it is deductible going in and tax-free coming out. It is the single best deal in Canadian personal finance right now, and most people under 35 still have not opened one. 3. Attack the qualifying math, not just the price. Killing a $500 monthly car payment raises your maximum approval by well over $100,000. That is the cheapest house upgrade in the country, and here is a bonus most people miss. Buy with a longer runway, not a longer wish list. If you can wait 18 months, that is 3 more FHSA deposits, thousands in tax refunds recycled back into the fund, and a bigger down payment that shrinks the insurance premium or wipes it out entirely. Rushing into the market 1 year early with the minimum down can genuinely cost you more than the house appreciates in that same year. Patience is not missing out. Patience is a discount. 4. Be honest about geography. A $500K budget that gets laughed at in Vancouver buys you a great life in Moncton, Winnipeg, or Lethbridge. Remote work made that trade real. The buyers winning right now are not luckier than you. They just did this math earlier. So, who in Canada can actually afford a $500,000 house, 2 incomes, a trade ticket, an equity head start, or generous parents? If you have none of those, you now know the plan. Know your ceiling, max the FHSA, clear your debts, and let geography do the heavy lifting. The house is not out of reach. It is just further down the highway than the one you grew up in. And honestly, the highway is cheaper anyway.